We left off Nun Beis Amid Beis. Gemara told over an incident. There was a sharecropper. Before the produce was divided between himself and the owner of the field, the sharecropper takes a handful of onions, and he goes to a woman and says, "Arei mekudeshes li." But he did it without the permission of the owner of the field, and this was before it was divided. So that means some of the onions, and since every onion, we'll see in a moment, is a different size, it has to be evaluated. What exactly? So the owner doesn't forgive the sharecropper or waive what he takes, that it should all be his. So they came before Rava. So Rava says, "Ein mukadeshes." He said she's not married. Amalei mat. He said to the sharecropper, "Man achloch." I mean, who waived it? Who gave you permission that all the onions? I mean, a percentage may be yours, but you're married with a full handful of onions. Therefore, she's not married. Hani mili b'muza. That's only regarding the onions, the handful of onions. Aval kisha. Let's say you have the produce are like strands of vegetables, and each strand is basically the same size as the other. And the sharecropper takes 5 strands and he gives it to the woman. 5 bunches. Each bunch is the exact same size. So since we know he gets a certain percentage, so the owner knows exactly what he has. So I get so many, you get so many. So that's how we differentiate onions, which each onion is a different size onion. So therefore, since the owner doesn't know exactly what you took, he just took a handful, he doesn't waive it. He didn't have, not talking 5 pounds. No, if let's say there were packaged 5-pound bags of onions, and he took a 5-pound bag, that's like the strands of vegetables. That's like bunches of vegetables. He took a handful. So in a handful, you don't know what's within a handful. Aval kisha motzi omali ana shakli kisha, chocolate kisha. I took a kisha. The sharecropper says, so you take whatever the way they work out the percentages. Why? Ad kisha, kisha ki kisha, because one strand is like the other strand. One bunch is like the other bunch. Hahu sarsayo de kodesh befuma de shichro. There was this person who was hired to make beer, a beer maker. What do they call David? Yeah. No, whiskey. The whiskey makers, what they're called. Distillers. Okay? The master distiller. Okay? He took the material, meaning like this. Initially, you have with the hops or dates, whatever they use. And even if they use it, the material still has a certain degree of taste in it. And they actually continually add water to it to extract the taste. So he took some of this material, and he went, and he was Makarish, he married a woman. Osamore, the Shichro, Ashkeche. So the one who was the employer comes, and he says to Amalei, Amailo Tesiv Mahecharifo. He says to him, and he gave it in marriage to a woman. So the employer comes, and he says, and he has a percentage. So he says to the employee, he says, you should have taken better quality. Why did you take from that has only, you're able to extract a mild tasting beer? You should have taken a better quality material where the beer the taste be extracted would be sharper. Ostkami Rav Amalei, lo amr klachet zu yofos elin truma bilvad. Titania. What's the case? Klachet sul yafos. Gemara says in Mitzvah, a person is appointed to be an agent. You can only tithe somebody else's crop, take truma, if you're a shliach. We had this earlier, right? One of the sources of shlichus is learned from truma, right? Because if you don't own the crop, you're not able to tithe the crop. But yet the Torah says if you appoint agent, the agent representing you can tithe. Person appoints an agent to tithe his crop, his harvest, and the agent is not sure. Now you could give various percentages. You have ayin tova, ayin raw, or you could tithe from very quality crops. Okay? And he wasn't sure exactly what the owner of the field, the harvest, had in mind. What does he want to be truma? Okay? So he went and he tithed it. The owner comes and sees the quality of the produce that he took to be truma. So he makes a comment to his shliach. He says, you should have taken better. What did he take from? You should have taken from better. So it could either be a sarcastic remark. He could have said, you might as well give it all away, or he really meant that way. Meaning, so that if he meant that you should have taken from better, it doesn't mean say you didn't act in the capacity of a shlif, what you did take. But if you were sarcastic and says, I never meant that, I never meant that should be the produce you should tithe, then it's not a valid tithing. So the Gemara says over there, it's Gemara Babetzia. The Tanya, Ketzer Omar, Ketzer Amru Torem Shlo Midas Trumos Truma. That if the person goes and tithes someone else's field without knowing exactly what the tithe should be, the truma is valid. What's the Harishior Doch Sadeo Sadechavero Velikate Vitoram? He gathered the produce and he tithed it Shlo Brishus without knowing exactly what the owner of the field, what quality produce he wants. If he did it where he had no right to do it, ain't truma so truma. Truma is not valid. V'imlav truma so truma. Uminayin hoya choshish mishum gezel imlav. How do we know whether there's a question of he did something which was illegal, equivalent of stealing or not? Rishabbo balabayis umotzo. The owner of the field comes and he finds him tithing. V'amar lo klachit tzol yofos. He says, well, you should have taken for better quality produce. Im nimtzu yofos mehem. If actually there are better quality crops, truma so truma. So what he had taken is valid. He only was saying, you could have taken from better. You didn't have to take from the lesser quality. You could have taken from the better quality. Vim lav. But if there is no better quality, so what did he mean to say? You should have taken from the better. Ain't truma so truma. Meaning, you're giving away everything. Under no circumstance that I want you to tithe this quality crop, so then the truma is not truma. So the same thing over here, except we'll see in a moment. What about if the owner was actually also harvesting and adding? So then, although he made that remark, we see himself, he wants to give more generously. So if he wants to give more generously, so the truma is truma. Over here, when the balabais comes, you should have taken from the better quality. Factually, the person did the wrong thing. He took the material that you make the beer without permission. So here, even if you'd find a better quality hop or a more intense hop to make the beer, it's not a valid kiddushin. Mishum kasufa, bein mukadeshes, not mukadeshes. Meaning, it was only because the man doesn't want to look. He's miserly, so he's embarrassed to say, you had no right to take it. But factually, in terms of his mindset, he did it without permission. He had no right to take it. And since he had no right to take it without permission, therefore the marriage is not a marriage. I'll give you an example. Mr. Glick with beer. Years ago, when Mr. Glick had his office on 587, he had a phone in the waiting room. And people were welcome to use the phone. People who came. There were some people, but what about if you want to make an overseas call on the phone? Of course, he could even make overseas calls. If he asked permission, he would always say, it's okay, you can make an overseas call. Because usually it had to do with the business. And there were people who came. They wouldn't even ask. So he walks in, man could be on the phone for half an hour, overseas call. Making his own call has nothing to do with Louis Glick Diamond Company. So what he's going to say to him? Is he happy? He's not happy. But how does it reflect on him? So basically what you're doing really is stealing from me. You're stealing from me. But I'm not going to say anything because it's embarrassing for me to say something. So therefore I keep quiet. The same thing here. The man really doesn't want him to take it. So even if you find a better quality hop, he says he should have taken something better quality. He's only saying that because he doesn't want to appear to be miserly. So because of his degree of shame or embarrassment, he only made that comment. I don't know. No. He doesn't get a piece of the material. The beer. He uses that date. He gets a certain percentage of the beer that's produced from that. He took the material, the hop, or the date that he makes the beer, and he gave it to him for kiddushin. That material belongs to the owner. You get a percentage of that. He took that material and gave it to him for kiddushin. He says, you should think there's better quality. So he says, even if I'm better quality, he's only saying that because of his own, the way he appears to be.
But why do we come out to that? Even if he wanted him to take it, how does that change things scientifically? Because the point is he took it without permission whether he says to him, you could have taken from the better if he means it or not.
So for Tosaf, he points out something interesting. The Gemara Bava Metzia says the case of Truma speaking where he was a shliach. Wait. So Tosaf is saying something interesting. He appointed him to be a shliach, to be Mekadosh a woman for him, for himself. Right? Because otherwise they're not comparable. There, I appoint you to be an agent to tithe. I wasn't specific what you should tithe from. So if you give away the store, the man says, you know something, there's no way, on no circumstances, that I want you to represent me. But so we have to see what the comment meant. If he says you should have taken him better and you do find better, so that means he means what he's saying. But if you don't find better, that means it's a sarcastic remark, and therefore it's not a valid tithing. But over here, he's not a shliach. I mean, here he took it without permission. So how do you compare? I mean, it's comparing something which is not comparable. That's Tosaf's question. Okay? Tosaf is saying, we're speaking about he made him a shliach also to be Mekadosh Isha. To marry a woman for him. The one who owned the brewery, his employee who gets a percentage of the beer, he says, I make you a shliach, marry a woman for me. You're my agent to marry this woman. And he goes and takes this material without asking. So he says to him, you should have taken from the better. Right? So we're saying here, even if it's better, it doesn't make a difference.
Even if he made him a shliach and he wants to out.
Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Because he doesn't want to look like a cheapskate. He doesn't want to look like a cheapskate. Over there, he has an obligation to tithe the crop. By Truma, he has a mitzvah. He has an obligation. So there, mitzvah, he wants to do a mitzvah. So he does a mitzvah. So he's saying, we should have done it better. So, but therefore it's valid. There's no mitzvah to marry a woman with this particular item. No, there's no mitzvah to marry this woman now. There's no mitzvah to marry this woman now. You want to get married, but who said I want to give this particular item? But I didn't tell you what. I didn't tell you what. Let's say I have a gold watch and I have a platinum watch. You take my gold watch without asking permission. You should have taken the platinum watch. You find a platinum watch. You shouldn't have taken. You should have asked me what to use. Here there's a mitzvah to tithe, and the different quality produce. So there's a mitzvah. You want to do a mitzvah in a proper way, and minimally a proper way. Okay, let's start the next Mishnah. Okay, now, just to give you an introduction, we speak about the two levels of consecration of korbanos, of sacrifices. There's kochi kadoshim. That's the more advanced level of consecration of something goes on the mizbeach, and there's kochim kalim. That's the lesser. Kochi kadoshim would be chatos, osham. Right, the Kohen gets a portion of the chatos of the osham, mincha, the meal offering. This is all kochi kadoshim. Now, kochi kadoshim can only be eaten by who? Only by males, a male Kohen. Only Kohanim. Only by Kohanim and only male Kohanim. Nothing. Correct. Unless he's a Kohen. Right? Cannot eat it. Okay? The women cannot eat kochi kadoshim. And the Gemara is going to say, kochi kadoshim mishuchlan kavo kazohu. Even the Kohen who receives, now he doesn't eat the whole chatos. Part of it's sacrifice, but whatever is available to eating is only male Kohanim. And the portion he receives monetarily has no monetary interest in it. He only has a right to eat that. Yeah, that's a separate issue. He has to eat it within the confines of the azora, of the sanctuary. Can't take it out of the sanctuary. He sells it; it's not a valid transfer because he has no ownership in it. Okay. Kochim kalim, such as shlomim. Okay. Wait a second. Before you ask the questions, let me finish speaking, then you'll ask the questions. Okay? Kochim Kalim is Shlomim Toda. Thanks offering. Shlomim, that's Kochim Kalim. Kochim Kalim, anyone can eat it. As long as you're a Jew, you're able to eat it in a state of Tara, purity. You're able to eat it. Okay? Kochim Kalim, the Chozav Vishok. The breast and the thigh goes to the Kohen. The rest of the korban is eaten by the one who brings the korban. And certain parts, the innards, are sacrificed on the Mizbeach. Okay, that's Kochim Kalim. There's an argument in, now, the halacha is if you're a custodian and somebody gives you his chatos to watch, and afterwards the person comes and says, could you please give me the chatos or the ola? He's a kodesh kadoshim. I gave you to watch as a custodian something which is kodesh kadoshim, and he takes an oath you never gave it to me. Right? Does it have all the liabilities of an ordinary situation of a custodian? That means he's withholding it. The answer is no. Why? Because he's not withholding the property of the one who gave it to him. Because it's God's property. It's not his property. Kochim Kalim is also hekdesh. Rabbi Yosef Galila says, but if it would be Kochim Kalim, then it has the liability of one giving your own money. Why? Because Kochim Kalim is Mom and Balim. Kochim Kalim is Mom and Balim. What belongs to the owner, whoever consecrated, it's considered his asset. Right? It's his asset. So let's say the animal would gore another animal. You have a liability of an owner. According to the Chacham who argue Rabbi Yosef Galili, just as a chatos, if it gores or damages, the one who consecrated has no liability because it's not his. The same is true. Kochi Kodoshim, everybody agrees. It's not his. They're only arguing by Kochim Kalim. Since it's not Mom and Balim, it's not his, he has no liability. He has no liability if there are damages. And if you give it to a custodian, also, it's not your asset. Okay, so let's see. That's true. Kochim Kalim too. Pesach says you should not leave it over till morning, but if you leave till morning, it has to be burnt. Every kochim, any kochim that has to be eaten has a certain time frame. You can't go beyond that time frame, and it's a negative commandment. It says lo susir meno ad boker. You're not permitted to leave it over till morning, and if you do, it has to be burnt. There's a mitzvah saseh. And kochim kalim, correct. That's a korban that has to be eaten, or it has to be sacrificed. An ola. Ola is not eaten. It has to be sacrificed by morning. Correct. So now, hamakadish bechelko. A person who marries a woman with his portion, he received a portion of meat of the korban. Bein kochi kadoshim, bein kochim kalim. Whether the portion of meat is from a korban that's kochi kadoshim, like a chatos, an osham, or a shlomim. No, wait a second. Kochim kalim could be even non-kohen. It says a kohen who wants a mikadosh with his portion, that's the kohen. He gives that his portion to a woman in kiddushin and mukadeshes. What about kochim kalim? It could be a kohen, it could be a Levi Yisrael, and mukadeshes. So according to the Mishnah, we're not differentiating what it's kochi kadoshim or kochim kalim. If you give your portion, and mukadeshes. Can I ask you a question? Person's a diabetic, and I give him something that if he eats, he will go into diabetic shock. Does it have value? He could sell it, he give it all, he could sell it to someone else. I gave you something of value. It's an asset. What if the Kohen gives it to his wife? Is his wife permitted to touch it? It's an asset. You makadosh with shava kesef, correct? It's like we just began learning kiddushin now. Shava kesef. If you give somebody shava kesef, are they married? Okay. So whether the woman can eat it or not, what about you makadosh a person? Wait a second. A person's a grandson of a Kohen. He inherits truma. He inherits truma from his grandfather. It's his mother's father. A daughter inherits a father, and the mother is no longer alive, and now the grandfather dies. He's a Kohen. And so the grandson is what? The grandson is Yisrael. Does he inherit the truma? Of course he inherits it. It's an asset. Why not? Can't eat it, but he inherits it. It's his asset. Let's say he takes this asset and has a Mekadosh and Isha with it. Is she Mekudeshes? She's Mekudeshes. Correct? So the same thing. Kochi Kadoshim. She can't eat it, but did he give her something of value? So if you say that he himself has no ownership in it, so he gave her nothing. Right? Not because she can't eat it, because even he has no financial interest in it. Therefore, I'm Mekadosh Bechelko, Ben Kochi Kadoshim. Ben Kochim Kalim, En Mekudeshes. So the Tan of the Mishnah holds that just as Kochi Kadoshim, he has no financial interest in it, Kochim Kalim, he also has no financial interest. And the Gemara is going to want to say that the Mishnah is not going like Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Because according to Rabbi Yossi Aglili, who's of the opinion Kochim Kalim Mobin Bailim, it should say in the Mishnah, Makadosh Bechelko, by Kochim Kalim Mekudeshes. But the Mishnah doesn't differentiate. So evidently the Mishnah is not going like Rabbi, and the Gemara is going to say, no, there's no proof. The Gemara is going to differentiate. The Gemara is going to differentiate whether the animal is alive or the animal was slaughtered. When it's alive, it's mom and bailing. Once the avodah is done on the animal, then it's mishul gavo kazohu. It's hegdish. Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Mom and bailing. The moment you slaughter it and do all we'll see. Okay. Same as chatos, eating rights. There's a mitzvah to eat it. Now there's a mitzvah to eat it.
When you can eat it, it's not violent anymore.
Correct.
So how can you be mekadosh?
That's why it's Eidim Kadeshes. That's why it's Eidim Kadeshes.
But if it's still alive,
Before you slaughter it, it's mom and bailim. It's yours. You're responsible for it.
if you give it to the woman, she can't do it. She has no value. What value does it have?
She can sell it.
But you can only when the seller becomes.
It's hers.
Can she sell?
She just can't eat it.
If it gets a mum,
Right.
let's say it gets a mum. It gets a mum. You can be poted. The Maisa Sheni. What about Maisa Sheni? Bein Shogeg, Bein Meis Lokidish, Diver Meir. Now, Remeir says, Maisa Sheni is Mama Gavoa, and we rule like Remeir. That's the second 10% you tithe, it's Mama Gavoa. So therefore, it's the equivalent of Meshulchan Gavoa Kazochu, therefore it's Lokidish. Whether he gives it to her not realizing he's giving Maisa Sheni. Whether he gives it deliberately, Lokidish, Divrei Meir. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, B'shogeg, Lokidish, B'mezid Kidesh. If he thought it was his own money, it was not Maisa Sheni, a mistake gave it to her, it's Lokidish. Because first, the woman doesn't want it. She's not aware it's Sheni, because it has limitation. B'mezid Kidesh. But if they're both aware, he's aware, she's aware that she's received Maisa Sheni, Kidesh. Now, behegdish memezid kidesh, b'shogig lo kidesh. We'll see this. Ramero Yehuda Omer. Okay, let's see the Gemara. The Gemara will explain those last cases. Name masis lo Rabbi Yossi Aglili. The Mishnah does not differentiate between kochi kadosh and kochim kalim. If the kohen or the ordinary person gives his portion of kochim kalim, she's not married. Name masis lo Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Seemingly, the Mishnah is not going like Rabbi Yossi Aglili. Ditanya. This pasuk is speaking about taking an oath. A shomer takes an oath. He says, "I don't have the animal you gave me, or I don't have the asset you gave me to watch." So if he takes a shvuah, so the halach is he has to what? He has liability for if something should happen to the asset. He has to bring a korban. He has to bring a korban for swearing falsely. So it says, "Umal mal b'Hashem, the rabbos kochim kalim." That comes to include kochim kalim. So take a look in Rashi. Hashem the Rabb's kochim kalim. L'schayev aleim korban shvur. Normally, when you take an oath, you have to take, and you swore falsely, one has to bring a korban. But if one swears regarding hegdish, one doesn't have to take a shvur. We're talking a shomer. Avogav de nishmon al hekdeshes. Or normally, if you swear regarding something that belongs to Hegdish, was consecrated. Vanishba aleim behoda eno mevi oshom shel shuas hapikodon, right? Because shuas hapikodon is when you swear that you don't have the item that was given to you for safekeeping. Yeah, if you swear falsely, you have to bring an oshom. Okay, but if you give something of Hegdish for safekeeping and you swear falsely, you said he never gave it to you, one does not swear. Why? Because what does it say regarding the shua, the oath? It says v'chichesh ba'amiso. You lie to your fellow, right? Because the object that you're retaining is your fellow's object. So when chichesh ba'amiso ksiv, hani israbel b'hu mi'ashem v'chichesh ba'amiso nami karinabo levishu mamono. The Torah is over here associating it with Hashem. There's a case of where it's God's, but yet it's the equivalent of a chichesh ba'amiso. So what is that? So Rabbi Yosef Glili says that case is kochim kalim. Kochim kalim. That even though it was consecrated, it's Hashem's, but because it's the lesser degree that he has a right for consumption, whatever else, and we see it as his asset, so therefore it's the equivalent, he lied against his fellow. Rabbi Yosef Glili. That's the way he interprets it. Same thing. Kochim kalim. Doesn't make a difference. Doesn't make a difference. Okay? We'll see. So it seems to be the Mishnah is not going like Rabbi Yosef Glili. The Tanya v'chmola mal b'Hashem the Rabbis kochim kalim shem amona de Rabbi Yosef Glili. And since the Mishnah says ein bu kadeshes, evidently it's not going like Rabbi Yosef Glili. Afil tem Rabbi Yosef Glili. The Mishnah can be attributed to Rabbi Yosef Glili. Kikom Rabbi Yosef Glili michayim. Before the animal is slaughtered, it's his asset. Therefore, he's mekadosh with the animal. She's mukadeshes. But once it's slaughtered, not my taimo. We'll leave this for tomorrow. Kaddish.